Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life for peace. I'm sure these are all words we've all heard at some point in our lives. With constant controversy over religion, widespread poverty, and what seems like endless disagreements between our countries and the world, achieving this goal is seemingly impossible. These famous words are from the song Imagine, written by John Lennon and his wife Yoko Ono. These ever so powerful lyrics have had an everlasting impact on our society and culture as a whole. This famously beautiful song has served as the root of many debates, the tissue we use to cry into during tough times, and the all-out universal anthem for peace. Imagine has been translated into hundreds of different languages from Spanish to ASL and has been labeled one of the top 100 most influential songs of all time. The overarching message in the song Imagine is unity, peace, and harmony, and for the past 45 years, Imagine has been used to try and bring these utopia-like standards to the lives of people all around the world. Imagine is a highly realistic and relatable song that encompasses what so many want, peace and unison, as well as what so many fear, a world that lacks order, religion, and possessions. This mixed feeling of repelling emotions has caused many to debate the motives and meaning behind the lyrics. Lennon's ultimate motivation behind creating the song was to push the people of the world to come together and to attempt to create a place that is peaceful and fair. One without countries or private property, one without war, and one without religion. It all began in 1971 when the Plastic Ono Band, which consisted of John Lennon and his wife Yoko Ono, wrote and produced the song Imagine. The writing of the song was inspired by a combination of a Christian prayer book given to Lennon and Ono by Dick Gregory, as well as by poems released by Yoko Ono in her book Grapefruit. The main message in the gifted prayer book from Dick Gregory was the concept of positive prayer. This idea includes imagining a world that is at peace and lacks any domination of a specific religion. This concept is based off of the want and need for people to stop trying to compare and trump one another's religions and to just live without quarrel. The root of this idea is imagining, and this idea coincided deeply with one of the main poems out of the book Grapefruit by Yoko Ono. John Lennon drew inspiration from one of her poems entitled Cloud Piece. This short poem states, "Imagine the clouds dripping. Dig a hole in your garden to put them in." Lennon found the concept of imagining to be intriguing and felt it to be a very powerful tool into achieving what you want in life. During the time Imagine was composed and released, the war in Vietnam had been in session for over 17 years. Hundreds of lives have been lost, billions of dollars have been spent, and the country of Vietnam had been ripped apart. This situation wore heavily on the hearts of many people around the world, including John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Lennon and Ono were notorious for participating in anti-war peaceful protests and often used their position as celebrities and living in the public eye as a platform to voice their opinions on political matters and humanitarian needs. The terrible situation in Vietnam is what caused so many people to open their eyes and see how heart-wrenching violence and upset can be. Lennon and Ono realized that they could reach the biggest audience through their music and public appearances, so they decided to write and perform songs about world peace, like Imagine. Through the song Imagine, Lennon was peacefully protesting the war in Vietnam and also all violence. Above all, it was extremely important to John Lennon that the meaning of the song was never altered. He at one time said, "The World Church called me once and asked, can we use the lyrics to Imagine and just change it to Imagine one religion?" That showed me they didn't understand it at all. It would defeat the whole purpose of the song, the whole idea. On New Year's Eve 2012, R&B artist CeeLo Green took it upon himself to change the lyrics from "no religions to all religions true," and experienced much backlash from peace supporters, including Yoko Ono. The only time that the lyrics were ever officially changed was by Lennon himself. On August 30th, 1972, a year after the song's initial release, Lennon was performing in Madison Square Garden. He decided to change the lyrics from "Imagine no possessions, I wonder if you can," to "Imagine no possessions, I wonder if we can." This small change in Lennon's words solidified the true meaning of the song. This alteration, he felt, was a much more accurate representation of unity. During the almost decade he lived after the release of the infamous song, Lennon made it very clear that the main point of the song Imagine was to bring people together and not tear them apart. The entire song is filled with the idea of simply being. Lennon describes this as an almost nirvana-like state where everything is blissful. In regards to his lyrics, Lennon was once quoted saying, "Wait a second. I'm just telling you for a minute, just imagine if there wasn't. I'm not saying that there's not, but just imagine." That's why the song's called Imagine. Now imagine no heaven, but no hell. Imagine that all these things don't exist. These are the things that we believe in, and religion as we know it creates wars. Just imagine if no one in the world believed that. There would probably be no more wars or hate, but more happiness. If we were all equal, it's just hard to imagine because that's impossible. But my song, it just basically makes you reflect on those things, impossible. He wanted to make it clear that his intentions in the song were not meant to disrespect anyone or their way of life. All he was trying to do was convey the meaning of peace. Lennon was just asking the world to take a moment and imagine living life together. Immediately, many people had a huge issue with the lyrics of the song Imagine. People felt that it was a blatant display of disrespect, and some even labeled the song as anti-American, anti-God, and communist. Since its debut, Imagine has had much controversy surrounding its lyrics. A lot of people found Lennon's words to be offensive and damaging to the American way of life. Most especially, President Richard Nixon. Nixon felt that Lennon was a threat to his re-election, as 1972 was the first year where 18-year-olds would be allowed to vote. And this was such a huge group that followed Lennon. Nixon wanted to silence him, and in his eyes, the words of the song Imagine were saturated in rebellion and went against every belief that, unbeknownst to most, the American government has tried to instill into the citizens of this country. It has been said that the most controversial verse of the song Imagine is, "Imagine there's no countries, it isn't hard to do, nothing to kill or die for, no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace." The upset among these lines is understandable, but the problem is that the listeners aren't really listening. The true meaning of the song is to imagine a life without separation between us. It is an idea, one that is wishful and imaginary, yet many find the lyrics to be threatening. In 2012, the London Olympic Games were occurring. Turkish television networks censored the line, "No religion too." This is yet another example of how many are threatened by the idea of true unity and peace, because in their eyes, they would be abandoning everything they knew. The song Imagine holds a very important spot in music history. Jimmy Carter was once quoted saying, "In many countries around the world, my wife and I have visited about 125 of them, you hear John Lennon's song, Imagine, used almost equally with national anthems." It is obvious that this song has had a huge impact on our world. Judging by its popularity, it seems that Lennon's message of world peace is not so crazy after all. It is safe to say that we all want to live in a world that is safe and fair. But sadly, the means of completely achieving those standards are unrealistic and somewhat dangerous in their own sense. On the contrary, just because we cannot fully reach these high ideals does not mean that we cannot all get along. In our present-day society, the song Imagine has continued to be used as a message of peace and hope, and not just during the bad times, but during the good times as well. It is even the inspiration behind the United Nations designation of International Peace Day, which is on September 21st every year. This day encourages people to talk about and spread messages of peace to one another. As early as 1980, Imagine was performed by Elton John in reaction to the unexpected murder of John Lennon. He felt it was the most fitting response to the senseless act, which demonstrated exactly what Lennon was singing about. Elton wanted to continue to spread Lennon's message of world peace. In 1985, Patti LaBelle sang the famous words of hope and peace at a live African hunger benefit. She felt that the song Imagine completely encompassed the idea that she was trying to share. After September 11th, Neil Young performed the song at a benefit to help raise money for survivors and families of the victims. He deemed it as the ultimate message of peace. Back in November 2015, the song was used as a source of healing. After the terrorist attacks at the Bataclan in Paris, a 34-year-old German resident named David Martello drove over 400 miles overnight to pay his respects. He showed up in front of the Ravage Theater on a bicycle, towing a piano, parked his bike, got behind the piano, and began to play the song. As he played, hundreds surrounded him in unity. The latest display of this message of peace via the song Imagine can be seen through UNICEF's Imagine program. With the support of Yoko Ono, celebrities like Shakira, David Guetta, Katy Perry, and thousands more from all over the world, UNICEF recorded a new age version of the song. This world version of Imagine shines a spotlight on the 28 million children around the world who have been driven out of their homes due to conflict. The hope behind the project is to not only give people of the world a voice, but to draw attention to the devastating effects of war and how it hurts and displaces millions on a yearly basis. The song Imagine will continue to be used as a symbol of peace, unity, and harmony, as long as there is upset among the human race. Lennon's message in the song Imagine is one that has had a continuous effect on our world, and it communicates the most common desires that we as humans share, which is peace, unity, and harmony in our world. These are things that we are constantly fighting for. It is an ongoing battle that is seemingly impossible to achieve. As long as we, the human race, refuse to respect and honor one another, there will always be violence, hatred, and division among us. Imagine what would happen if we all band together and refuse to participate in what divides us, whether it be our gender, our skin color, our country of origin, religion, or socioeconomic status. Imagine accepting one another's differences. Although these differences make us who we are, they also put a huge weight on our shoulders. More often than not, these differences separate us and represent an invisible barrier among us. The differences we share often cause us to panic at the sight or sound of somebody or something that has opposite beliefs or ways of life than we do. True acceptance is key to peace. As people who inhabit the same planet, it would be in our best interest to take Lennon's brave thoughts and ideas into consideration. We must continue to try and fight for peace. In the famous words of John Lennon, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world can live as one.
What's the main message that you learned through doing this for yourself?
The main message I learned was, like when I initially heard the song growing up, I thought it was strange too that he was kind of asking for a world that didn't have anything that separated people. Like with the no religion and everything, I really took it as a world with no religion. But what he was trying to say was that imagine if we had something like a world where we didn't have to fight. And that was the main message I learned out of it, that it's all about accepting differences and not creating a difference.
Why did you choose this song? Because I know there's a lot of songs that talk about peace and unity. So why did you choose Imagine out of all of them?
Honestly, it's kind of strange, a little personal. I'm a military widow, and the song was played a lot when my husband passed away, and I didn't understand. I mean, I did understand why they were using the song, but I didn't understand to the full extent as to why they were using the song. So I'm in Language and Society, and we were challenged to write a paper about a song or something that impacted the world, and I thought, why not look deeper into this? I've always wanted to know more, so I took the opportunity and ran with it.
So broadly speaking, music and frequently enough theater are always just one step ahead of the cultural swing. And I mean, this was given a long time ago, clearly. You talked about it like 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays we have songs about like the LGBT community,
Mm-hmm.
or of course like Black Lives Matter. And these songs are reoccurrent. So we talked about here the UNICEF. Are there any current day songs now that are also spreading similar messages that are also being used by the not-for-profits?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are. There's one that I can only kind of hear the melody in the back of my head, but I remember seeing a commercial and there's some song on there, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Because this is such like a reoccurring element, especially in music, and again in theater. I really want to emphasize that. That we see this cultural shift starting with music. So I didn't know if you had any other examples where
No, I did not go that
the
far.
pendulum starts here. Okay.
Yes, I wish I had.
Okay.
Amy, let's play the total contrary fact game. Would Lennon have been able to write this song if the Beatles had stayed together?
No.
Why not?
I feel that Imagine is a great representation of Lennon's personal abilities in the music world. And I feel that when he was in the Beatles, they kind of guarded that a lot and did not allow him to evolve into the artist that he became. And that's why the separation happened. I just feel they didn't want to hear it because it's not poppy enough and not, it's actually hardcore hardcore issues that are, happening, and the Beatles really, they did sing about hardcore issues, but everything was so fluffy and happy, so it's complete opposite of what they would normally put out.
All right, thank you very much.